Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Hi there, thank you very much for joining us for the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I have three fine judges with me to look ahead to one of the great weekends of the autumn/winter calendar. Paul Keeley will tell us whether or not he's become a Sam Crow fan. I suspect not. Frank the Tank Hickey from Paddy Power will be giving us his Ladbrokes Trophy fancy, and it is a race that he describes as one of his favourites of the whole lot. David Jennings will be telling us all about every horse that's running this weekend and a few that aren't. And if that was not enough, there's a chance for you to win a free £100 or €100 bet from Paddy Power. So loads to get going. We'll crack on with the highlight of the... Well, I'd say it's the highlight of the day, actually, Keels. I mean, if you're only watching one race on Saturday, which one would it be?
Well, it has to be the Fighting Fifth, isn't it, really? I mean, that is the best Fighting Fifth we've had for probably 20 years. You know, it's funny, the horse that won it in 2014, Irving, when it won it the first time, he was rated 149 and was 6-4 favourite. There's a horse in tomorrow's race rated 152 and it's 150 to 1. You know,
well,
so
in terms of prestige and prize money, obviously it's the Ladbrokes Trophy. I will spin through the Paddy Power prices and then the boys will tell us who they fancy. And Paddy Power, even though there are only 14 runs, even 13 runs, offering 5 places, a fifth of 5. So you've got a great each way chance. Thomas Patrick is fav at 7-2, Elegant Escape is 4-1, and then it's 9-2 Miss Parfois, 15-2 Dingo Dollar, 10-1 American, 11 The Young Master, 12 Black Corton, 12 Beware the Bear, and 16-1 Bar. Paul Keeley, let's get the quality issue out of the way because, 11 years ago on this day, Denman won it. We've had, obviously so many fantastic horses. Native River, the reigning Gold Cup champion, won it. We don't think as yet that it is necessarily that high class, is it? But it might be, mightn't it?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you never really know for sure. It's just based on last season's novice form. You're not talking about the absolute top novices coming here for their first start of the next season. I mean, Elegant Escape was beaten a long way. It may have been third at both Aintree and Cheltenham, but it'd only have been fourth at Cheltenham if a horse hadn't fallen at the last. So fairly sort of outclassed in the top races last year, and he's £2 short of top weight.
You've got a strong fancy, haven't you?
As a horse I've fancied for quite a while for this, because Dingo Dollar, trained by Alan King, who won it with Smad Place in 2015. He fell early on in his chase career, but then he went to Newbury and he won by 15 lengths on soft ground, and he jumped like a stag, and he sort of repeated that when he went to Doncaster, and then he only just got beat in a very valuable novice handicap chase at Ayr on faster ground in the spring. He's come out and had one run, and I thought it was a really, really eye-catching run at Newbury over hurdles, where he looked like falling out the back of the telly going to the second last, but then ran on again, finished fourth to Jersey Bean, whose form has been getting franked pretty much all the time. He's a horse that's gone up £20 in the ratings this season, and I think I just think it would go well. It would be up there. I think you need to be ridden reasonably prominently at Newbury. He's going to be up there from the off. Trainer is worried that the ground might get too soft for him if it rains, because lots of rain forecast tomorrow morning. But like I said, he did win on pretty soft ground there last year, so it doesn't overly concern me. It is a wide open race. Elegant Escape, if you remember last year, Whisper picked up a £4 penalty for winning a race he had every right to win, ended up £4 badly in and got beaten neck. Elegant Escape's done exactly the same thing. He's gone and won a race, handicapper didn't bother putting him up, but he's got to carry a £4 penalty, so he's actually £4 badly in. That would worry me. I mean, he obviously jumps well. I think Thomas Patrick will probably beat him this time, because he looked really good round here. Miss Parfois was a danger. And when you're talking about 5 places, you've got loads at prices. The Young Master's unbeaten this season. He's won 2 handicaps pretty well, both of them. A double figure price, only has to finish in the first 5.
Do you know which TV programme the Dingo Dollar's from?
Absolutely no idea.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a clue on the front page of The Weekender. You dressed up as I'm a Celebrity contestant.
Oh, it's that, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right, no, I wouldn't have the faintest idea.
DJ, you and I are already smarting, aren't we? Because we thought Ken Boy might go well in this, and we had some decent vouchers, but obviously the bad weather has scuppered his travel plans. He is a non-runner, so who have you turned your attention to?
Yeah, unlike the Fighting Fifth that we're going to talk about soon, I actually agree with Paul here. Dingo Dollar has been my idea, the winner of this, for a long time. My only worry was, and I was petrified that potential Gold Cup horse like a Native River, Demon might show up, even if the likes of Thistlecrack ran here. Because I don't think Dingo Dollar is ever going to be a Grade 1 horse over fences, but I think this race is perfect for him. Like, he got to 1-4-2 over hurdles. He was never going to be a hurdler. The piece of form that I think really stands out is that win at Newbury last year when he beat Baden by 15 lengths. And he beat Joe Farrell as well. Like, when he beat Baden, Baden was rated 125 and Joe Farrell was rated 126. They went on to be rated 133, and Joe Farrell obviously won the Scottish National and ended the season rated 142. So that was a really, really strong piece of form. He loves Newbury. He jumps really well. He's going to be up in the van throughout. Like, if you look back to Ayr last year when he was just beaten in a handicap chase, his jumping was absolutely spectacular. I think this is his Gold Cup. He's never going to win a Gold Cup, so this is his Gold Cup. And 15-2, 5 places, I'd be flabbergasted if he doesn't finish in the first 5.
Frank, what's your view of the Ladbrokes Trophy?
Yeah, he would definitely be on my shortlist, Dingo Dollar. I was all over him for the Ultima last year, and he was a non-runner because of the ground being soft. Yeah, he's won. I think this is his Gold Cup. I agree with David. Like, the one I just can't leave alone. Now, again, I kind of putting it up, even though I've completely missed the price. Since the end of last year, I felt that Miss Parfa was absolutely ideal for this race. As David alluded to earlier, it's not really got a Gold Cup horse in it. You look at her and you go, she was second in the 4-miler, soft ground. She was second in the Grade 1 at Aintree. She went into those 2 races rated 146 and the handicappers left her alone. I think it's probably been very fair. She's had a wind up. If she'd had a run, I'd be a lot more confident, but she had a race course gallop at Newbury. She's also won at the track very well, and I think there's very little negatives. With the 5 places, I'd be flabbergasted if she doesn't hit the frame at least. I think she's got a great chance.
2 votes for Dingo Dollar, and Frank likes Ms. Parfa. I very rarely tip on it because I'm useless, but I'm going to put a little word up for a horse that's been lurking around my tracker for years and might just be ready to come to prominence at a big price ever since finishing 6th in a very competitive Albert Barley. I always thought it was a big race in Alison Montague. Thought that might be a decent price, but anyway, who cares what I think? We need to know what the lads think about the 150. It's the Ladbrokes handicap hurdle. Frank, have you got some prices?
Yeah, Speedo Boys 3-1, Champs 7-2, Barter's Hill 7-1, Paddle Your Own Canoe 8-1, Potter Stories 10s along with Air Horse 1, and we are 14s bar.
Lovely. And DJ, the name there when Frank read them out that makes your ears prick up is Barter's Hill, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Champ there because you're coming to me first. I think Barter's Hill, actually, now that you mentioned Barter's Hill, I went through this race this morning and he's probably at the prices. There's a little bit bigger out there. At the prices, he's probably worth chancing because with Ben Paulin, like, he had a tendon injury. We know how good he was. He was fantastic. He's the best horse he's ever had. And to keep him going, like, I'm sure if he wasn't showing his old sparkle, he would have just picked up stumps and gone. But I just think the fact that he's come back to Newbury as well in this race off a mark of 142, like, imagine if you were told 2 years ago that Barter's Hill would be running a handicap hurdle at Newbury in November or the first day of December off a mark of 142, you'd laugh at people. He looked a proper Grade 1 horse. If he does get into a good rhythm early and he jumps well and he starts enjoying himself, he could just be so well handicapped that mightn't catch him. So, look, with Barter's Hill, you have to be willing to know that the horse could be pulled up. But there's also a chance that he could be spectacularly well handicapped, and I'm always one to take that chance. So, yeah, I'm going to give Barter's Hill a chance.
Who are you going to give a chance to, Frank?
Look, I think Speedo Boy is obviously well treated, still based on his flat form. But what worries me is the ground. There's about 7 mils forecast between 12 o'clock tonight and maybe I think 12 o'clock tomorrow. So that could well have the ground soft by the time racing starts, and that would put me off Speedo Boy. Champ's obviously very interesting. He was getting weight the day he was beaten a neck by Vindication, but still you would think his mark of 139, he probably could be better than that. The one I'm going to chance a bit left field is Sleep Easy for Neil Mulholland. My reasoning is he ran at Stratford the last day behind a horse called Vive le Roi for Tony Carroll. At the time I was very disappointed with the race. I thought it wasn't great, but Vive le Roi ran first assignment to a head at Cheltenham in his next start. He's gone up I think 12 or 13 pounds. The likes of Django was behind that day. He landed a right touch at Chepstow, and it's the ground. If the ground does get soft, Sleep Easy is quite good on soft ground. He's won 3 of his 5 starts. His last run soft ground over hurdles was when he was third, beating about 6 lengths behind Soul Emotion, but that's about £23 higher now. And second that day was West End Story, who was probably well treated. I think the ground's the key. They're claiming 7 off him with Philip Donovan. I think he's got an each way squeak.
Keels, You just did that thing, didn't you, which I always do on the train when I click on a video and the commentary comes on full blast, and then you panic and can't turn it off.
Shit yourself.
You got rid of that very quickly. Go on.
Right, I think the two at the front of the betting can definitely be taken on. Speedo Boy probably won't like the ground. I don't think he had that much in hand at Cheltenham anyway. And of course they missed out a load of hurdles then, and I don't think he hurdles particularly well. So I take him on. Champ. He's beaten trees since getting beaten by Vindication. We've no idea how good he is, but he's handicapped high enough on what he's actually done. One I like at a price, he's been around a little while. But he was fifth on his return at Kempton 19 days ago. Travelled really, really well. And then he didn't even pick his feet up at the second last. Did pretty much similar at the last. Wasn't going to win, but I mean, it was just a nice reintroduction. He's run well round here before. He's got Harry Till taken off £7. I think he's handicapped to go well. Without those two, I don't think it's a particularly good race, and I think he's got decent enough form in the locker to to show up well at a decent price.
Let's look at the 225 at Newbury. It's the Ladbrokes Intermediate Hurdle, better known as the Jerry Fielden Hurdle. Frank, what's the latest betting?
Yeah, what's wrong with you is 11-4, Ballymoy 7-2, Global Citizen 9-2, Montes Avalwar 5-1, Lisp 9-1, and we're 10s bar.
Frank, am I going to come to you at any point today and get you to do that little pause and then really get very excited about one, or is it not that sort of weekend?
I don't think it's that sort of weekend. Mr. Anthony kind of broke my spirit there a little bit last weekend, so it'll take me a while. Look, as in, I don't think he was unlucky. He was done probably by one that was well handicapped, but he ran his race. I wouldn't give up on him. I think a draft of 2 miles on a right-handed track on soft ground, maybe just before Christmas might be the time for him.
Righty-ho, who wins the 225 at Newbury, Frank?
Be quite keen on the chances of what's wrong with you. He's had 2 runs at Newbury, won twice, beat OK Corral, getting weight in a novice. He was getting £6 that day, but he travelled really strongly. Won probably a weaker race the next day, carrying a penalty. 135 for the Imperial Cup. Ran third, but that was a decent race. As I said, Mr. Antonini won, Call Me Lord was second. The race has worked out tremendously well. I went into it last week. There's been numerous winners there, and he's on the same mark. I think he's really well treated. Nicky Henderson's won the race 3 times in the last 8 or 9 years. I think there's loads of positives about him.
Who's your selection, Keels?
Yeah, I quite like one here. You don't normally associate Henry Daly with 2 mile hurdlers, but this Watmore ran really well first time up at Chepstow, travelled really, really powerfully, and then just got tired. And then next time out of Bangor, he absolutely hacked up. It was 2 mile, 3.5 furlongs, so he's coming back in trip. But he had to get shaken up to win, but he ended up winning very, very easily. And at 2 miles, he'd have won on the bridle because he had them all off long before that. He's a real king goer, so it might be in his favour that Global Citizens in a race might give him a bit of lead. He's won a race by 10 lengths on soft ground at the end of last season as well. Trainer says he's got a bit of a motor. You don't hear Henry Daly talking too positively about many of his horses, do you? He's not that sort of trainer, and I just think he might be a fair bit better than we've seen so far.
And DJ?
The favourite is great value here. The key piece of form, I suppose, is that OK Corral form, given that OK Corral went on to be rated 147. That suggests that what's wrong with you, like most people, well handicapped off 139. And if you go back to that Imperial Cup, just when he turned into the home straight, he was just stuck in a spot where when the race was won, he was just stuck in a spot and couldn't get out. And he did run on again at the end, but I think the big long home straight in Newbury will really suit him. As Frank said, Nicky Henderson has a great record in this race. I think he could potentially in time turn into a Grade 1 chaser because he's a fine, big, imposing sort. So I just think he'll take this. This is a stepping stone to bigger things, and I'd imagine he'll go off much, much shorter than 11-4.
Okay, the other ITV race at Newbury is the 335. It's the Ladbrokes in memory of Tara Vaughn Eyring handicap chase, a competitive affair over 2 miles and half a furlong. And Frank, how do Paddy Power bet?
Yeah, we're struggling here a little bit. We've co-favs, Forrest Behan, Big Marta, Lady Buttons are all 9-2. Space Oddity 11-2. Do It For The Village 13-2. I forgot Top Gaddon's 11-2 as well, and we are 12s bar. Okay,
Keels, take it away.
The more rain they get, the more I'll be interested in Top Gamble. He's the old stager of the party, but he's down on a nice mark of 149. He actually won the Game Spirit here a couple of years ago, beat Dodging Bullets 10 lengths. He's a decent horse when it's soft ground, but he's still, even at his age now, he's still got good form. He was third in the Grand Annual on soft ground. That's what he wants. Kerry Lee won this 3 years ago with an old horse in Grey Gold. probably been laid out for it. It's a good starting point for him. Richard Johnson on board. She's got another horse called Sheer Rock, who's very likely raced for his age in the race, with half a chance down the bottom. But I think Top Gamble with Johnson up.
Keels likes Top Gamble. Who does David Jennings like?
I'm absolutely all over Forest Behan, Bruce. I would have been so much more keen, though, if they just didn't get as much rain as they've got, because that's the only thing I think that can hamper Forest Behan here. Second run after a wind up, I thought there was so much to take out of his run in the slower chase. Was bang there with Sco Royal and Simply Ned turning in. Just got a little bit tired, obviously needed the run. But the key thing, I think, with Forest Behan is it needs a flat track going left-handed, and that's what he gets here. His best performances have been at Newcastle and Doncaster. This time last year, he was rated 158. This horse has got serious gears. He's down to mark of 150. I think potentially he's a different class to these. And if it doesn't turn into a bog, I'd be bitterly disappointed if he's beaten.
Who did DJ fancy there?
Forest Behan.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, no, I was
You're
listening.
engrossed in that race.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, it's not looking like much of a bog on the chase course at the moment anyway, is it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if anybody's watching this,
You multitasked there. He was watching the race at
multitasking.
Newbury and listening to DJ. I was very impressed, Kills. Frank, who do you think will win the 3:35 at Newbury?
Yeah, I'm with Keels here, Top Gamble. My one small issue with him would be he hasn't won fresh since 2014. But on ratings, he's 149. If you go back and watch the Grand Annual, he got hampered at the fourth last, got hampered at the third last. I don't think he got hampered at the second last as well, and he still ran on to be third. He's on the same mark here. Obviously, go back to when he won the Game of Spirit, he beat Dodging Bullocks very, very easily. I think he's well handicapped. Like at this time last year, he was off 159. He's £10 lower. As I said, fitness is the only thing. But Richard Johnson's books, so you imagine there's a big run in him. So yeah, he'd be the one for me.
Okay, listen up, because I'm about to tell you how you could win a free £100 or €100 bet.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and a grand up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Welcome back. Okay, this will not take long, but you may win a free £100 or €100 bet from Paddy Power. Basically, we just want to get more reviews in Apple Podcasts. So if you're on an iPhone right now, just go into the podcast app, search Racing Post, click on Postcast and scroll down and then hit write a review. All you've got to do is write a short review saying how much you love me particularly, and be sure to put your Twitter username at the end of the review. Paddy Power will pick one winner and get in touch with them to award them a free bet. Like I say, it wouldn't take more than a minute. You don't have to be nice, you can tell the truth. I'm sure that Paddy Power will be very fair when it comes to naming them. If you do want to slag any of us off though and win the bet, I would make it David Jennings. Okay, back to the TV action, and what a fantastic race we've got at Newcastle. At 2:05, it's the BetVictor Fighting Fifth Hurdle. Star names absolutely wherever you look. It really should be so informative. It will really shake down the hurdling hierarchy. Frank, what's the latest betting from Paddy Power?
Yeah, Bouverdare 6-5, Sam Crow 13-8, Summer Boy 4-1, Bedrock 14-1, and we're 33's bar.
6 runners, so each way it's only the first 2, which is a shame. But what a race to savour, DJ. Who do you think will win it?
Well, I'm going to start off this process by reading out a message that I got sent a couple of weeks ago, and it is quoting Paul Keeley that I got sent in a text message. This is Paul Keeley talking before the Morgiana. Is Sam Crow all that good? I thought he was beat when he fell last season. He didn't travel very well last time, and he didn't jump very well either. He's not a 2-miler. I presume they've schooled him over fences before staying hurdling. Was there a reason for that? Can he jump? I'd imagine they'd try fences after he gets beat on Sunday, because he will get beat on Sunday because he's not that good. Now, this is an utter disgrace, okay? Now, I want Paul Keeley to listen to me for a second. I'll try and do this in as quickly as possible, which I know for me isn't usually that quick, but it will be very quick. Okay, Paul Keeley is questioning how good is Sam Crow. Well, in about 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you how good he is. He started off in a point-to-point at Monk's Grange. On bottomless ground over 3 miles, he beat Elegant Escape, who's the leading fancy for the Ladbrokes trophy, okay? Fair enough, Paul would say he's too slow, 3 miles, fair enough. Bolted up in a punch 10 bumper first time out on the track. Then he beat Good Time Tara, who went on to be rated 143 in a Navan bumper when there was absolutely no pace. Next time, he won a Fairyhouse bumper by 17 lengths and got an RPR of 136, which I make it the highest bumper RPR I've seen in the last 10 years. First time out over hurdles, he beat Mind's Eye by 15 lengths, who went on to be rated 135 and has posted RPRs in the high 130s over fences. Next time out, he won the Monksfield Novice Hurdle at Navan. He beat Jets, rated 142. Delta Work, who went on to win the Pretemps final, 152 by 12 lengths. Next time out into the light novice hurdle, he beat Duke de Geneva, rated 146. Paloma Blue, 149. Whiskey Sour, 143. Sharjah, who's now rated 156, was beaten 14.5 lengths. And Larichburg, who's favoured for the Drimmer on Sunday, all battered. Next time in the Ballymore at Cheltenham, he beat Black Up easily, rated 152 Black Up, and Next Destination 154. Both of them won Grade 1s at Punchestown and Aintree on their next starts, okay? Paul is going to say that he was beaten first time out at Down Royal. The best novice I can remember that went from its novice season, stayed over hurdles for its next season, was Hurricane Fly. Hurricane Fly was beaten into third first time out by Solwith when he stepped up into the big boys. I think it was a shock to the system for Sam Crowe because he had to try and race at Down Royal. Wasn't used to it. He was like an underage footballer that goes and tries to play adult football. And I just think it was a little bit of a shock to the system. And I think it's very ironic that Sam Crowe stays over hurdles because it actually reminds me of the Bouvardere situation. Bouvardere went over fences and then Nicky Henderson realised, you know what, there's no good 2-mile hurdlers out there. Let's try and turn Bouvardere into a champion hurdler. I think Gordon Elliott has said exactly the same thing with Sam Crowe. I think through Mick Jazz, he's got a clear line to Sam Crowe, to Bouvardere. And I know for a fact that they think that Sam Crowe is potentially 15, 20 lengths a better horse than Mick Jazz. If that is the case, and apparently he did a breathtaking piece of work last week, I think you will finally get to see why we've been raving about Sam Crowe. I think he's a superstar. I think everything is in his favour. The big thing is that he's had a run and Bouvardere hasn't. And finally, Bouvardere, in his last 6 runs, he's beaten My Tent of Yours twice, the new one, Irving, John Constable, Mellon and Mick Jazz. That's on his last 6 starts. He's actually beaten nothing. He's a brilliant horse, but he's beaten very little. I think Sam Crowe will prove himself to be the best 2-mile hurdler in the fighting fifth, and I can't wait for him to win. To hear Paul Keeley.
What you got to say for yourself,
Right,
Gills?
well, the only time he won a meaningful race over 2 mile last year, it was a race that sort of fell apart. Now it was a time slower than the juveniles on the card. It wasn't a very, very good race at all. Now he did win.
You're on the ropes here, aren't
He
you?
didn't. No, not at all. No, not at all. He did win the Ballymore and he won it well, but that was borderline heavy ground over 2 mile 5 furlong. The 3 horses who've won the Champion Earl that won the Ballymore all won that race on good ground or faster. Isterbracket was good to firm and he was all out. Sam Crowe won it by staying. I know he might have been tying up at the end, but he did a lot. No. You let me finish. You can come back. You can come back. You can shut up. You can come back. No, you can come back. It's my turn now. Right. There's a huge difference between winning a Champion Hurdle in 3 minutes 50 and winning a Ballymore in 5 minutes 20. Right, a huge difference. He has to prove it. When he stepped up in the Morgiana, right, he may have stepped out of novice company, but he didn't step up in grade. He was running against average horses, and Bedrock beat him. He might have been getting £5, but he still beat him, and he beat him quite comfortably as well. He needs to learn to jump. Obviously, the soft ground is in his favour. David's gone through horses that he's beaten, rated 142, rated 146, rated 147, etc. Bouvardere is rated 169. Let's realise that you're up against a proper, good dual champion hurdler. Now, I don't think Bouvardere was campaigned particularly well last year because he only had one race in his life, one race of the whole season that was meaningful competition, and he almost blew it. And he is said to be hard to get fit, but I didn't want to bet Somerville Voigt anyway. People seem to forget how well he did to win that Supreme Novices Hurdle. You go back and have a look. How well he's going. He's going to the second last, and he's almost down on the floor.
Absolutely, mate.
He goes down to 7th, and he's almost caught the leader by the last. That's an incredible turn of foot in that time to go from almost stop to picking up again.
I backed Somerville for the Champion Hurdle.
I didn't,
the day after the festival.
Well, I was too busy when I was watching that race. I was there. I was too busy looking at my horse falling back through the field. You know what I mean? And seeing how it ran. I hadn't realised what a terrible mistake he made.
It was really bad.
And he ploughed through the last as well, and still got up and won. This horse is seriously underestimated, and I just think he has to be the value at 4 to 1.
Excellent, brilliant stuff. Frank, you haven't died of old age, have you, while those two are wittering on?
Well, all I can say is the Wilder Tyson Fury fight has a lot to live up to match that, really, doesn't it?
Well, I tell you what, Frank, before you start, right, Dave started to smash up some banter last night on Twitter, right? And I called him Sam Slow, and I expected an absolute torrent of abuse. You know, I didn't get any. I've got people agreeing with me. And I said to Bruce earlier on, you know what it is, don't you? Right? Everyone really doubts him now. When he wins, I will get the dog's abuse because the Twitter was full of after-timers who were waiting to tell me. At least Dave's got the balls to be up front.
Absolutely. Right then, Frank, what do you think will happen in this fascinating contest?
Yeah, I think long term it never bodes well to go against Mr. Keeley, but I am going to go against Mr. Keeley. I just think what no one's mentioned is the benefit of a run is massive here, and he's had a run. Like we even see, like Bouverdaire, he's only been beaten once over hurdles, and that was in the Supreme. But you look at Might Bite last week, you look at Terrafort, Sandown, some of Nicky's have needed a run, and he's going to have to be very sharp. Like, I know what Paul's saying about Somerville Boy. He made an absolute balls the second last and still won, and he must have some engine. If he puts it all together in the jumping front, he must be good. But the thing that would hold me back is Mengley Khan was, 2 or 3 lengths behind him? I'm pretty sure if you asked anyone in Gardens what would happen between Samco and Mengley Khan over 2 miles, they'd tell you they're not in the same parish. Samco is a tool. I think he needs to prove it. Tomorrow is the day he will prove it. I think if you're looking to have a bet tomorrow, I dare you just back him for the champion hurdle. I think he'll be short afterwards. And I think in the betting at the moment, we're a bit different to other firms. I think at off time they'll be very close in the betting. A lot closer than they are now.
Oh, I was looking forward to the race before. Now I cannot wait. That is going to be absolutely superb.
Can I just say one final thing? Just one final thing with Paul. Paul is on about how he looked like a stayer when he won the Ballymore. He won the Ballymore with actual pace. From the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill was when he won the Ballymore. He wasn't staying on coming up the hill. He won the race before he got to the last. He passed good horses as if they were standing still coming down the hill. And horses who are slow cannot do that, no matter what the ground
still,
is.
And I didn't say he was slow. It's a completely different thing. Between, Denman was a 3-miler, but he wasn't slow. I called him Sam Slow as a joke to wind you up. He's not a slow horse, obviously. Whether he's quick enough to win a champion hurdle is another matter altogether. I don't think he is.
What price would you back Sam Crow for the champion hurdle?
16s.
No shorter than
No.
that. If I offered you 14s, you wouldn't back him. Really?
No.
Good Lord.
Final point.
God, you've had your final point. Piss off.
On Somerville Boy, okay? If you pick out their 2 best piece of form, Sam Crow, and if you pick out Sam Crow's best piece of form and Somerville Boy's best piece of form, Paloma Blue was 9 lengths behind Sam Crow in the light. Paloma Blue was 3 lengths behind Somerville Boy in the Supreme.
Somerville Boy would have won that race by nearly 10 lengths if he hadn't nearly come down.
Okay, right, we're done on this because the race will be off very shortly. 3:20 Newcastle is our final ITV race. It's the BetVictor Rehearsal handicap chase. Frank, what's the latest betting?
Ballydoyne is 4-1, Big River 9-2, Ami Dubois 6-1, Sharp Response 13-2, Baywing 8-1, and we're 10s bar.
And who wins, Frank?
I'm going to take a chance of one. We're a good bit under. Because I fancy it, but I think you'll get a lot bigger this evening, and that's Ami Dubois for Graham McPherson. He's actually very underrated. He was 5th in the Albert Bartlett, the Penn Hill one, albeit well beaten, but he has won his last 2 handicap hurdles, right, off 126 and 137, off 137 very easy. He's been up to a mark of 143. He's won at Newcastle as well, which is always a help. Soft ground is no problem. He runs here off 133 and he's won fresh the last 2 years. I think he's got a very good chance. I think he might be able to get a double figure price later on.
Jolly good. That's Ami Dubois. Keels, who's your selection?
I liked Big River earlier in the week, and I still do. He's just a very consistent horse, goes on any ground, young enough to still be improving. I think he'll go well, but the one I'm worried about is the one at the top of the weight, Otago Trail. Hasn't run for 665 days, but if you look back at his record, he goes extremely well fresh. And a couple of years ago, he won this race, beat Bristol de Meyer and Definitely Red.
Wow.
He's running off 152, so it's high enough, but I mean, he was definitely worth more than that the last time he ran because he won a good race at Sandown.
Do those form lines come out of your memory bank, or do you have to study these days?
Oh, I have to study these days. I forget to drink a cup of tea when I made it. So I mean, you know what I mean. But yeah, I got it in my head. I forgot what I was going to say about Big River though. That left.
Oh well, never mind. So who are you tipping?
Big River, and I will definitely save on Otago Trail.
David Jennings, who's your selection?
I'm with Paul here. I fancy Big River. You absolutely bolted up first time out last season. The third to miss par 4 at Warwick reads quite well. Lucinda Russell, of our last 10 runners, she's had 2 winners, 2 seconds and a third. And Blair Campbell takes off very valuable £5. I think he's a fair bit better than 142, and hopefully he can prove it here.
What else should we be backing on Saturday? We've got the rest of Newbury, the rest of Newcastle, plus Doncaster, Fairyhouse, Bangor and Wolverhampton. What you got, Kills?
I've got a couple. The novice chase at Newbury is worth talking about without actually putting up a tip, because Santini's coming back. That's 12.45, and it's no easy race. I see he's very short with Paddy Power, 6-5, 11-4. Kilbrick and Storm, who beat him in the Albert Bartlett and has a run, although wasn't massively impressive. Mr. Big Shot, he was an Aintree Grade 3 handicap hurdle winner last year. That's a really, really good race. Well worth watching. I love Santini. I hope he hacks up and proves how good he is. But in the 120, Adrian Dupont was fourth to Traffic Fluid at Ascot over 3 mile. First run at 3 mile. You can't really say he didn't stay, but he got left behind and then plugged on late. I reckon a little drop in trip and a faster pace will suit him. He travelled like the best horse in the race through that, and I think the front two were really well handicapped as well. So Adrian Dupont there. Right, yeah, and I got one at Doncaster as well in the 145. Dentley Demi. I've been following the form lines involving Jersey Bean all season, because he's run really well all year. He was second to over hurdles to Jersey Bean at Market Raisin when Jersey Bean was rated 122. He's rated 142 now. Then went in a novice chase, ran third at Springtown Lake, another horse that I like. Running again in a chase, and 145 at Doncaster will go well.
Okay, DJ, who else have you got for us?
4 for you, Bruce. In the 125 Fairyhouse, Duke of the Tie looks really well handicapped off 133. He had to do his own donkey work at Navan, so I think he can creep into the race this time. Also at Fairyhouse in the 305, Jethead, I think, is well handicapped off 128. Very interesting that Jessica Harrington has booked a £7 claimer, crying out for a step up and trip. Gets that here. In the 215 at Doncaster, the Sweeney, I thought, shaped really nicely at Kempton. I think it will be spot on, and off a mark of 122 can be very competitive. And in the 120 at Newbury, Cape Adventure ran really well last season when Philip Hobbs' horses were out of form. Now that they're back in form, I think Cape Adventure can win the 120 at Newbury.
And Frank, without giving your nap away, who else are your Saturday fancies?
Yeah, Newcastle, the 1 o'clock, the 2 mile 6 novice hurdle. I think Bigstown proved tough to beat. He came with a bit of reputation with second to bumper at Kempton, but chasing would probably be his game in the end. But he was impressive enough as you toxed over 2.5 on his hurdles debut. Won well, steps up another 2 furlongs. I think he'll be tough to beat. In the 215 at Doncaster, a horse of Ian Williams called Sonny Talad Tegan, I think is how you pronounce it. He caught the eye at Cheltenham last time behind Storm Rise. Now Storm Rise is probably thrown in. He's £12 higher now. He travelled really well, made a bit of a mistake at the last, still finished a close third. Edward Austin claims, I think, 7 off. He's a very good claimer, and he was second last year to Golden Future at Sandhill in the second run. That Golden Future is £23 higher. I think he's well handicapped. The step up to 2.5 miles is definitely in his favour. He'd have a very good chance in that race.
Let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
Who are you going for, David Jennings?
Forrest Behan, the 335 at Newbury.
Frank?
Doncaster 145, Huntsman's Son. He hacked up in his only start at Doncaster last year over hurdles off a mark of 122. They claimed he'd always be better over fences. He gave Kalashnikov a bit of a run in his chase debut at Warwick the last day. Steps up to 2 miles 3 here, which I think is in his favour. He was fourth in that Imperial Cup that we touched on earlier off a mark of 135, is the same mark here. I think you might get a bit of a price about him. I think he'll go very well.
And Kills?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Watmore in the 225 at Newbury. Do quite like him.
Okay, we've got a real high quality card at Fairyhouse on Sunday to look at next.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Welcome back. Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley, David Jennings and Paddy Power's Frank Hickey are looking ahead to a really exciting card at Fairyhouse on Sunday, featuring 3 Grade 1s, a really cracking juvenile hurdle and also some really good handicappers as well. Let's start with the 105, the bar1racing.com Royal Bond Novices Hurdle. Frank, how do Paddy Power bet?
Commander Fleets 11-8, Quick Grabham 2-1, Aramon 11-4, Triplicate 10s and Tingle 20s.
And Frank, the winner is?
I'd probably take Commander Fleet. Quick Grabham was very disappointed in the last day. He probably had an excuse, but yeah, it's not a race that excites me, Commander Fleet.
Does it excite you, DJ?
Not really. It's probably the most disappointing of the grade ones. Commander of Fleet looked very, very raw. I'd have no doubt that he'll end up being the best horse in the race. I just wonder on Sunday, Quick Grabbin didn't get a good ride in the 4 option, was given far too much to do. I think Quick Grabbin will turn around that form with Aramon. And just because Commander of Fleet was so raw and green, he just might be a bit more streetwise than on this occasion. So I tentative vote to Quick Grabbin.
I think you're sitting this one out, aren't you? So we'll look at that one. Okay, the next of the grade ones is the 135, the Bar 1 Racing. Drillmore, Novice's Chase, 2.5 miles, and some decent tools in here. Frank, what's the latest?
Reachberg 15-8, Delta Work 2-1, Discorama 7-1, Blow by Blow 8-1 along with Cadmium, and we're 12's bar.
DJ?
Yeah, I'm pretty sweet on Delta Work here, Bruce. Reachberg was rated 140 over hurdles. Delta Work was ended up being rated 152. I thought he looked very workmanlike at Down Royal, but the form of that race actually worked out quite well because Ben Dundee was third, bolted up next time, and Delta Work, nothing like that didn't suit him at all. He had to do his own donkey work out in front. He's a good jumper. He's a touch of class. I just don't know if Reachberg, who's a brilliant jumper, has improved enough to make that kind of 12-pound gap. And I think Delta Work will win.
Who do you think will win, Kills?
I would take a chance, a price on Jets. I mean, I've always liked him. He had some decent grade 1 form, getting beat a fair amount of times, obviously over hurdles. He was going really well unseated first time over fences, then won over 2 mile 1 furlong. Paloma Blue was 4 odds on. And he just wants further than 2 mile anyway. He's going up to 2.5 here, I think, each way, 12-1 or so.
And Frank?
I'd probably take a little chance on Discorama for Paul Nolan. He's a little bit underrated. If you remember, he was second last year to Blow by Blow. Had some decent form. He beat Blow by Blow and Maiden Hurl at Fairyhouse as well this time. I think it might have been on this card. But if you go back and watch the Nace race since Chase debut, he looked to be given kind of a quite enough ride out the back, as you call maybe a bit of an educational ride. The next thing he just came there swinging towards the last. I think he could end up being a better chaser, and we're 7-1. I think that's probably a fair each way price. Okay,
and the race of the day, the 240s, the Bar 1 Racing Hatton's Grace Hurdle, in which the brilliant Apples Jade heads the market, Frank.
Yeah, 8-11 Apples Jade, 7-2 Super Sunday, 9-2 Limini, 12 Sutton Place, 16 Bapalm and Fairclass, and 25's Bar.
She's a brilliant mare, isn't she, Kills Apples Jade? Are you going to take her on?
Great. She looked incredibly good last time, didn't she? I mean, and she has had problems first time out before, wasn't she? She'd be really hard to beat. I mean, I do have a soft spot for Super Sunday. I was going to back him against Sam Crow before they both came out the other week. Not a race I don't think I'm going to play in, but I mean, Apples Jade looked really, really good.
Frank, who's your fancy?
Yeah, she gets £7 off Super Sunday, but at the prices, I'd nearly just chance Super Sunday. Look, she was very good in reappearance, but he's so consistent, as in, I know that Punchtown Grey 1 over 2, he fell apart a little bit, but 2.5 miles on softish ground is probably ideal on good ground actually, probably ideal for I'd take a chance the price on Super Sunday.
And David, who are you going to go for?
Yeah, I just think Super Sunday will probably need the run. He's a kind of a big, gross horse. Don't think he works particularly well, but his form obviously does stack up. Just think Apples Jade, Everton is in her favour. She's won the race for the last 2 years in a row. She looked better than ever at Navan. So, she's odds on, but I'd be surprised if she was beaten.
Dave, anything else on the Fairyhouse undercard?
Yeah, there's 2 I like. In the 210, Velocity Boy was my anti-post fancy for the Tri-Town Chase last Sunday. Didn't run in the end, and I just wonder, is it because that race was left-handed? Back right-handed here, seems to have all its good runs are on right-handed tracks. I thought it was going really well in the Cork National, tanked into the race when it fell at the second last. It's rated 130. It's still well handicapped. Dennis O'Regan takes the ride. So Velocity Boy in the 210, and in the 310, it's a really, really hot handicap hurdle. Really good names in it. Jeski heads the weight. Former champion hurdle winner, Off You Go was in there. But there's 2 that I think potentially could be well handicapped. One is Brelade for Gordon Elliott, who was a very good novice hurdler. Just could have a bit more to offer this season now back over hurdles, didn't like fences. And he just about be my fancy over Tudor City, who I think will be placed but probably won't win. And just one other horse in the bumper. We've seen some really, really top-class horses from the Gordon Elliott stable win bumpers. Malone Road is obviously favourite for the Cheltenham Festival bumper, and Battle over Diane won during the week. By all accounts, Envoy Allen is every bit as good, if not better than them. So it'll be interesting to see how Envoy Allen gets on in the bumper.
Frank, anything else at Fairyhouse?
Yeah, just interested to see Envoy Allen. He's very much a talking horse, and the handicap hurdle is very difficult. It'll be one to watch. I've nothing at the moment that really stands out to me.
Okay, and Kills, last word to you. You've got one for us, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, Carlisle deserves a good shout on Sunday. They've got more than 200 grand's worth of prize money.
Fantastic.
For average horses to run forward. I think that's really good. It's the Northern Lights Series, I think it is what they call it. Yeah, the Northern Lights Series, the final. And in the staying handicap chase, 2:30, Ackle Road Boy. I think he's been a little bit unlucky. 2 starts this season. 1 in May when he unseated. Last time he got struck into and hampered early. Did well to finish 3rd. I think he will go well. Ackle Road Boy.
What are you up to at the weekend, Kills?
I'm still umming and ahhing about whether to go to Newbury or not.
Why don't you just go?
Because it's a pain in the arse by train and I ain't going to drive because I like to drink.
Okay. Is it that bad?
It is for me. I had a look.
What price are you to
4
go?
changes. It depends on what time I get up in the morning because I've got to leave at about 8.
Okay.
You know, and I've got to walk the dog first.
Yeah, and Sunday?
Sunday got a poker tournament to play.
You're going to watch the fight Saturday night?
Almost certainly.
Who wins that?
Fury, I think. I think it'll frustrate him. I think he's good.
DJ, wedding plans in full top gear, I suppose?
Yeah, I love that. I hope when I get to Paul Kelly's age, when you ask me, what am I doing at the weekend? I've got a poker tournament on Sunday.
No chance,
That
mate.
would be the dream. That would be the dream.
You've got no chance.
I'm working both days, so
That's the reason.
But it doesn't feel like work, DJ, does it ever?
Absolutely. Pure pleasure.
Good man, DJ. And Frank, what about you? What's Jill got on the agenda for you?
I'm working tomorrow and I'm off Sunday, but hopefully she won't have anything for me. I have no real plan.
So you can watch, the plan is to watch racing and punt, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose I could go to Fairyhouse on Sunday, but I'm very much weather dependent. Like, I don't like going out and getting wet.
Good man. Excellent. Okay, that's it for today. Don't forget, if you want the chance to win a free £100 bet with Paddy Power, just make sure you leave us a nice review for this postcast on Apple iPosts. Oh, no, on Apple Postcasts. No, on Apple Podcasts. Got there in the end. Just open the app and follow the instructions. Maddie is gallivanting across to Hong Kong, so I'll be back in the chair on Monday to look back on this fantastic weekend and also look ahead to the Tingle Creek and other goodies next weekend. We've got the final golf postcast of the year on Wednesday with Ian and Steve. Football Thursday, and if you can't join us for any of them, we will be back here next Friday. Thanks very much for watching and listening. I hope there's a few winners. Please bet responsibly and please have a great weekend.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.